Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another week, a full week ahead, a new week starting off on the 19th day of October, where, can you tell, I'm excited about your forecast. We'll go into it in much more detail before I leave you, but with high pressure behind the wheel all week long, moving a bit to the east, it's only going to allow even warmer air to roll in throughout all of your work week. By the weekend, I think Saturday into Sunday, a relatively mild cold front. It's going to be pretty much dry in nature. A few showers are possible, and temperatures are going to take a dip, but really not as bad as what it could be, and certainly not as cold as what it has been. More beautiful fall weather is in store. I hope you get a chance to enjoy it and take in the scenery that we so have to relish here in eastern Kentucky. Headlines tonight include several indictments from Johnson County, several McGoffin, Johnson County, and other individuals as well. We'll also talk about an arrest this morning of two men, I believe both from Johnson County, in Sayersville with a truckload of stolen items. Brief police pursuit, an automobile and on foot earlier today in McGoffin County, and Wild Knight appears to have left behind several thousands of dollars worth of damages on Rough and Tough over the course of the weekend. Football scores and more, all to work their way into what's left of the half hour. State Laboratory for the Kentucky Department of Public Health is reporting that there have been 2 confirmed flu cases in the lab, and that's confirmed in the lab. It's not the only 2 in the state of Kentucky. Folks, indeed, flu season is here, and in fact, it's most active primarily from October. Well, it usually begins in October to November, and then, of course, becomes active December into January. Certainly, while there's only 2 confirmed cases, there have been others at local health care providers. You can bank on that, and you can also bank on the fact that the best chance you have of beating it is to get a flu shot. And of course, influenzas are recommended for everyone over 6 months of age, especially those who are 6 months to 4 years, women who are pregnant, people 50 and older, people 6 months and older with chronic health problems. If you live in a nursing home or other long-term care facility, health care workers, obviously, household contacts and caregivers of people who may live in a high-risk area, or who are at high risk, I guess I should say more correctly, out-of-home caregivers of children less than 6 months old as well. But everyone, they say, over 6 months, by and large, should have their flu vaccine. Contact your local health care provider, the McGoffin County Health Department, your respective health department. They say that there is an ample supply of flu vaccine this year, but that doesn't mean that now is not the time to go ahead and get yours. The sitting grand jury in Johnson County has indicted at least 18 people on a variety of charges, theft, and as you can very well imagine, many of them drug-related, most all from Johnson and McGoffin counties. 50-year-old Jackie Allen of Painesville, formerly of McGoffin County, was indicted on a charge of promoting contraband in the first degree. Court records indicate that he tried to bring drugs into the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center and now faces up to 5 years in prison and a fine of no more than $10,000. 22-year-old Larry Dalton Bentley of Pikeville and 29-year-old David Ferguson of Meadowview, Virginia, are both indicted on complicity charges. That's complicity of theft by unlawful taking over $500, as well as being persistent felony offenders in the second degree. Authorities contend, and according to official records, the 2 allegedly stole a city work truck, a 2000 GMC work truck valued at around $15,000, owned by the city of Painesville. It was stolen in a Painesville parking lot and found in Pike County. If found guilty, they face up to 5 years in prison and a fine of no more than $10,000. 29-year-old Ashley Castle of Whitensville was indicted on 2 counts of first-degree possession of a controlled substance after she was said by authorities to be in possession of both oxycodone as well as a quantity of methamphetamine. One charge carrying a penalty of up to 3 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. Castle was also indicted on a charge of having a prescription not in its proper container and public intoxication. Those carry lesser sentences of up to 90 days in prison and a fine of no more than $250 if found guilty. A Prestonsburg woman, 49-year-old Rebecca Collins, was indicted on a charge of first-degree possession of a controlled substance for being in possession of hydrocodone. She faces up to 3 years behind bars and a fine of up to $10,000. 30-year-old Justin D. Combs of Whitensville was indicted on 2 counts of first-degree possession of a controlled substance for being in possession of methamphetamine and oxycodone, as well as being a persistent felony offender. He faces up to 3 years in prison and no more than $10,000 in fines. 39-year-old Benny E. McKenzie of Sayersville was indicted on charges of theft by unlawful taking over $500. Authorities contend that McKenzie allegedly stole a Big Valley brand pull-behind livestock trailer. It was stolen from a residence in Oil Springs and was said to be worth more than $10,000. He faces up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. Two men were both indicted on charges of complicity, of first-degree possession of a controlled substance, and possession or use of drug paraphernalia. They've been identified as 28-year-old Matthew Joseph of Sagersville and 38-year-old Sean Mead of Paintsville. The two were said to have been in possession of methamphetamine and a syringe. They face up to 3 years in prison and a fine of no more than $10,000. Joseph was also indicted on other charges, that being public intoxication, first-degree indecent exposure, and being a persistent felony offender in the second degree. Those charges could add another year to his prison sentence. A 20-year-old woman from Tomahawk, Megan Needlinger, was indicted on several charges, including first-degree possession of a controlled substance, that being oxycodone, having a prescription medication not in its original container, as well as possession of marijuana, and failure to maintain insurance on her vehicle. A Hager Hill woman faces up to 10 years in prison, between 5 to 10 years in prison, and a fine of no more than $10,000 after being indicted on charges of elder abuse or exploitation, as well as being a persistent felony offender. 31-year-old Christian Price of Hager Hill says authorities allegedly caused a loss of more than $300 to an adult resident, also of Van Leer. 40-year-old Opal Tackett of Tutorkey was indicted on a charge of first-degree possession of a controlled substance for being in possession of methamphetamine, facing up to 3 years and a fine of up to $10,000. And 29-year-old Jackie Brooks of Paintsville was indicted on charges of second-degree escape and being a persistent felony offender. He allegedly escaped the custody of a court-ordered drug rehabilitation facility, where participating in such a rehab facility was a condition of his bond from the Johnson County Circuit Court system. He now faces up to 5 years in prison. A 30-year-old man from T-Berry, Terry Hamilton, was indicted on a charge of promoting contraband in the first degree for allegedly trying to smuggle a Schedule II narcotic into the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center. He had on his possession, or in his possession, what was believed to be Suboxone, which had been wrapped in plastic and then inserted into his body. It was found, however, upon a strip search at the detention center before being lodged in the jail. He faces now, in addition to the other charges, up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. And another methamphetamine case, 20-year-old Tyler Trombley of Oil Springs was indicted on a charge of first-degree possession of a controlled substance, public intoxication, resisting arrest, second-degree disorderly conduct, and being a persistent felony offender. This after authorities found him in possession of methamphetamine, and he did not obey their commands upon attempting to arrest him. He faces up to 3 years in prison for the charge of possession and anywhere from 90 days to 12 months for the other charges, including a maximum fine of $10,000. Two people, one from Flat Gap, were arrested on similar charges per the same case. 22-year-old Sarah Lomanak of Michigan and Alex Janes of Flat Gap were both indicted on complicity charges of fraudulent use of a credit card over $10,000. Authorities say that they made more than $12,300 in fraudulent charges to a MasterCard that was registered to a resident in Maryland. Now, if they are found guilty, they face up to 5 to 10 years, between 5 and 10 years in prison, as well as a fine of no more than $10,000, and, of course, possible restitution on top of that. And also indicted, but without a photograph on the program this evening, was a Flat Gap woman identified in indictments as 29-year-old Stephanie Ravenscraft. She was indicted on a charge of flagrant non-support, alleged failure to pay over $2,600 in child support. She faces up to 5 years in prison and also a fine of no more than $10,000. Other headlines will follow these messages. To get high-speed internet on their state-of-the-art fiber optic network for all of your home and business solutions, or to watch TV without a contract on over 200 digital channels with superb quality, or stay connected with family and friends with 24/7 telephone service you can always depend on, contact Foothills Broadband today. Or just click on their link to the right to find out how they're working to provide the latest in communications at affordable prices with exceptional service at Foothills Broadband. McGoffin County Sheriff Carson Montgomery walked upon an unusual scene early this morning in a Salyersville parking lot and immediately had cause to suspect that something was amiss, and indeed it was. Two men, one passed out, the other behind the wheel without a driver's license, were ultimately found to be in possession of literally a truckload of stolen merchandise taken from a Johnson County home.
This is what he saw in the pickup truck as he approached. Power tools, stereo equipment, a lot of other items, some worth a significant amount of value. Also, a shotgun lying in the bed of a small, older model Chevrolet S10 pickup truck. Upon questioning the two individuals, two men were inside. They basically, says Montgomery, admitted to robbing a residence in Johnson County and gave him the number or name of that resident who was not at home at the time, but after contacting the Johnson County Sheriff's Department and then working in collaboration, they found a Roger Sexton who then returned home to find that he had indeed been robbed. And all of the items appear to have been from his residence. Mr. Sexton would make a trip to McGoffin County and did identify all of the items in the back of the truck. As for the passenger in the pickup truck and said to be passed out at the time, he was identified as this man, Philip Cody Parsons of Staffordsville. The individual behind the wheel of the truck was identified as Michael Loyal King, also of Staffordsville. Both men were ultimately lodged in the Big Sandy Jail on charges of receiving stolen property, a firearm, receiving stolen property under $10,000, and public intoxication as well. While the investigation is ongoing, Montgomery says that he believes the two men were traveling to McGoffin County to bring the items here to try to sell or pawn.
And also from the McGoffin County Sheriff's Department, Deputy Neil Adams was patrolling in the Route 40 area and spotted a pickup truck with expired tags. He also spotted the driver, who he believed to not have an active driver's license, and initiated a traffic stop, which did not take place. Actually, it was a situation where the suspect led Adams on a chase for a period of time in the vehicle and then on foot before being apprehended at his home.
Adams' statement says that as soon after he attempted to make the traffic stop, the pickup truck in question, a gray Ford, turned onto Van Hoos Road near Carroll Specialty, and that both vehicles continued up the road until it took a hard left and up to a cemetery road in this particular direction. And once the driver reached the top of this hill, he bailed out of his pickup truck, taking the keys with him, throwing it in park, and then fled on foot. Keep in mind, Adams said that he recognized the individual behind the wheel even before he jumped out of the pickup truck and ran. He also knew that his residence was very nearby. However, a foot chase did ensue, and even though there were other individuals responding to assist Adams, he would ultimately make it, well, basically around the hill, across Route 40, back up the other side, and to the residence of a Chris Wright. You can stand actually on one side and where the pickup truck was parked of Route 40 and then look over to the other side and see his residence. It was there that Adams says that he believes that Wright ran into the home, out the other door, and then under a crawl space. Adams removed Wright from underneath or in that crawl space, but not without effort. Ultimately, Wright was lodged in the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center on charges of fleeing or evading in the first for running in the motor vehicle, fleeing or evading in the second degree for running on foot, as well as charges of resisting arrest, criminal mischief, no registration, no insurance, and driving on a DUI suspended license. Going on to tonight's McGoffin Farm Bureau calendar, a happy birthday wish to Dorothy Conley, a happy 84th birthday wish from the IPPC Church, from your family, from a whole lot of friends who want to wish a very special lady a very happy birthday. Happy 84th to Dorothy Conley. And after a packed community calendar last week, a relatively brief one, at least today, it will pick up and get full as it always does. But a reminder about the Healthy Holiday Series. Tomorrow at 5:30, it's at the Licking River Baptist Church, and they'll have one on Wednesday at noon at the McGoffin County Extension Office. They're the same class, just different times and locations, and they're free. It's a free Healthy Holiday cooking series. Sides, appetizers, potluck, salads, entrees, all that and more. And they're going to do this every Tuesday and Wednesday between now and about the second week of November, the 10th and 11th, respectively. Call the Extension office here in McGoffin County if you have any questions, 349-3216. That's it for the calendar for tonight, except for me to say, if you have an announcement, birthday, anniversary, or otherwise, church, organization, what have you, school, this is how you get it in the program. We'll tell everybody. We'll do it for free, and they'll, of course, know exactly what you have planned or who you want to wish well.
I'm just now receiving a phone call from a viewer who lives in Stinson here in McGoffin County who says that his pickup truck was found completely burned and destroyed on Rough and Tough over the course of the weekend. It was actually a location where he knew the truck was going to be. However, of course, he says he had no knowledge of what was ultimately going to happen to his property and that of someone else's, as 2 vehicles were found destroyed upon the return of their owners to the strip job area.
These are actually some photos that were taken by T&B Recycling, who recovered the vehicles. But the owner of this pickup truck tells me that sometime in the early morning hours on Saturday, 2 vehicles, his and another one, were burned following a large party on the strip mine location in Floyd County in Rough and Tough. The owner of one of the vehicles, Gary Lee McRoberts, says that his grandson had gone to the get-together with some friends and that at some point the Floyd County Sheriff's Department showed up and had everyone leave the area. Because of the grandson's age, he wasn't allowed to leave in the vehicle he arrived in, but he had his grandfather pick him up. Now, according to McRoberts, the Sheriff's Department told him that the truck would have to be left there. We haven't spoken to the Sheriff's Department as of yet. We will attempt to do so tomorrow. He says upon his arrival the next morning, though, to get his truck, he found his F-150 and a car belonging to some girls, or a girl and some other girls who have been there at the same location, had been set on fire and completely destroyed. Both vehicles just gone. So as of right now, all I know is this. McRoberts is asking anyone who may have any knowledge of who may have destroyed his vehicle and or the other to please contact the Kentucky State Police, who he says has opened a case, as well as the Floyd County authorities, or you can also relay the information to him directly. His local number is 349-8390. That's 8390. We'll follow this and have more at a later time.
Now for football scores and updates, some district wins, some district losses.
For the Golden Eagles, Coach Matney and Johnson Central, it was a district win over Rowan County, and a big one, 42-6 for Johnson Central. They've amassed 313 points and only given up 65 this season on their so far 7-0 run to the end. They're 4-0 and undefeated in district and regional play for that matter. And they're also at Ashland Blazer this Friday, looking to go 8-0. I don't have any highlights to share this week. Just as the Hornets got on the board, I got called away from the game. They did manage to pick up 19 points, but it was a district loss against Breathitt County, who scored 32 at home for the Hornets, that is. And that puts them at 2-6 on the season. They do have 2 wins, that over Betsy Lane and Knott Central, but they're 1-3 in the district. They are at Powell County this Friday night, and then, of course, one game thereafter. That will be the home and season ender, if you will, against West Carter on Friday the 30th. Turning to Morgan County and the Cougars, a district loss for them as well, 16-50 against Estill County. That puts them 1-3 in the district as well. Puts them batting .500, if you will. That's a poor analogy. I know we're talking football. Nevertheless, 4-4. They're halfway, if you will, and even on the season. At Breathitt County this Friday is where they'll be, and they'll be back at home for their last game on the regular season schedule, hosting Sheldon Clark on the 30th. And for the Paintsville Tigers, 38-12 against Fairview. That is 8-0 for Paintsville. They've amassed 341 points and given up 98, and they are on a roll. They're rolling on to Raceland this Friday. No, I'm sorry. They're hoping to roll over Raceland. That would be better put. But they're hosting Raceland here at home this Friday. Their last game of the regular season schedule is actually an away game the following week at Shelby Valley. So one more chance to see the Tigers, who hope to go 9-0 this Friday against Fairview. Now we're going to put the lid on this one with your Licking Valley RECC forecast, and I bet they're proud to power this one tonight. I have 67 degrees out there at last report just after the 6 o'clock hour, and holding. We're going to drop about 30 degrees, mind you, to a low of around 37 tonight. Clear skies. It was a beautiful way to start off the work week. Patchy fog is what we're going to see later on and in the morning. All this high pressure that's shifted a bit to the east today will allow warmer air to filter in. I like it a lot. Patchy fog in the morning, 70 for your daytime high. Sunny skies, a gorgeous Tuesday. Lows will get close to the 40-degree mark. That will be an improvement under mostly clear skies on your Tuesday night. Look for some patchy fog bookending Tuesday to start and to finish. Wednesday midweek, we'll start off with that fog, and check it out, ladies and gentlemen. That's close to 80. We might even flirt with it a little more than that. And when was the last time we did? 77. Lows still in the low 40s, but man, what a fall day ahead. Partly cloudy skies, and that's all there is to say about Wednesday. It is as perfect as it could be for this time of year. And that's all you can say. Thursday, if you want a little more of the same, well, indeed, I've got it. 77, mostly sunny. We'll ditch the fog. We'll see nighttime lows improve and only a few partly cloudy skies above that night. Late, another picture-perfect, beautiful day in the neighborhood. Want a little more? I can't give you 77 again. We can hold out for the low 70s, though, on Friday. 73 is where I expect to fall, or to climb, I guess I should say. But still mostly sunny, clear, calm, dry, partly cloudy late. Lows once again in the mid-40s. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Now, your luck has to run out somewhere, and it will, but not to a great degree for the weekend. It is going to change, mind you. Nevertheless, Saturday, right now, I'm holding out for another beautiful day in the neighborhood. And right now, we're holding out for partly sunny and right around 75 degrees again. A low of 54. Warm air building in or hanging on to Saturday night. You'll see that chance of showers late. It's about 50%. It's not going to be a major rain maker. We've got a cold front coming, maybe drier than not. Still looking for some precipitation, but I'm hoping that the showers will be relatively gone maybe by early Sunday. I think the clouds will stick around, mostly cloudy skies on your Sunday. And that 50% chance of showers should be more early than late. I'm hoping that it's not going to be a major weather mess at this point. We'll know when it gets a little closer. But I think now between Saturday evening is just absolutely perfect.
I left you on Friday saying that I had a full program ahead for today's show, and very little, actually, none of that news made it onto the program tonight in lieu of a lot of other breaking stories that did, with the exception of the indictments from Johnson County, which we knew were forthcoming on tonight's show. My point is, we have a lot of news and a lot of ground to cover on tomorrow's program, and as always, it will be something that you'll only see with me. For now, enjoy your beautiful October evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more of your news today.